Good evening. Karthik, I'm hearing some sounds. Somebody else is speaking in the background. Can we mute it? Yeah, yeah. Somebody's lecture is overlapping. So, good evening, students, and welcome back. And we meet again. So, I'm here, and this is our third session for this particular course. So we have been meeting regularly. I have been responding to you. Yesterday, I also sent you a list of books, that many of you have been asking, um, because this query has been coming quite frequently that I want to read more, I want to learn more about cinema in a very serious way. So I have sent you a mail, and you please take a look at it. I'll just before I start responding to questions, I will tell you and I would like to talk about the books and the list of recommended reading that I have sent you. So one is Andre Besant's What is Cinema? This is a consider why this is important. It's a book in French. It's a book in French language, but translated. So Hugh Gray is the translator. What is cinema has become like important because it is one of the foremost textbooks discussing cinema in an academic way. Okay, so that's the reason, and then it talks a lot about whether cinema and what is how do we approach the question of realism on screen, because we talk about that this is a realistic cinema. So how real can be cinema, and are there any limits? If so, what? Okay, what are the limits? Why are those limits? So it responds to the question of ontology, the being of cinema, and whether it can be completely realistic. So the importance of this book, What is Cinema, Volume 1 and 2, is that it is one of the foremost important books of film criticism and film studies. And it's a tough book. It's not an easy reading. So, but then none of the books that I have recommended are very easy to read. But anyway, nevertheless, you have to, if you are interested. And again, let me tell you, this is not for this course, but the idea is to give you a deeper insight into the realm of film studies. And then I have also talked about Pam Cook, the cinema book. It is a very, very comprehensive book on aspects of cinema. It talks about feminism, gender, and it talks about cinema from different parts of the world, auteur theory. So many of the things that we did touch upon in this course, but it talks in a very, very theoretical way. It's an excellent book. If you're interested in writing about cinema and researching about on cinema, then Pam Cook's book is something that I would guide you towards. And also number 7 book, that is Film Theory and Criticism by Leo Brody. It's a collection of essays. It's an edited volume, and it has several chapters by different film theorists and experts. Again, it's a tough book to read. So Pam Cook's The Cinema Book, and Leo Brody's Film Theory and Criticism. These are important books if you are into researching and writing about it. Then one more book I have recommended, The Oxford Guide to Film Studies. It is by Pamela Church Gibson and John Hill. Again, an important book. Please take a look at these books if you are interested in the research aspect of books. Then there is one book by Ashish Rajadhyaksh and Paul Willman. It's called The Encyclopedia of Indian Cinema. Now, many of you because the first question that is here on screen, that also is talking about that I'm interested in Tamil cinema, Telugu and Malayalam language cinema and all. No one teacher can be a font of cinema in every language. Okay, and India makes cinema in a number of languages. Now, you can't trust one teacher or can't depend on one teacher to teach you about cinema from every Indian language. However, Ashish Rajadhyaksh and Paul Wilman's book, The Encyclopedia of Indian Cinema, the name itself, it's not Hindi cinema. Please note that. It's not Hindi cinema, it's Indian cinema. And it has beautifully written entries on films and filmmakers, those associated with the process of making movies, and film actors from all from most of the languages. I think it is updated till mid 90s. Okay, so there are small entries about even people like Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, because he had already made an entry in cinema in I think 92, I think. Yeah, so there is some entry about him. But I think it ends with Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge. Of course, after that, he has done an enormous amount of work, but there is no mention of that. So I think it is dated. I think the volume that I have recommended is 99. So perhaps you can take a look at it. It gives you an understanding of cinema, Indian cinema till 1999, but it's just an overview. Okay, and then there are two books that I like personally a lot. Sidney Lumet, who you know, he's also a great film director. So Sidney Lumet has made 12 Angry Men, if you remember that movie. He writes a book called Making Movies. So from a director's perspective, he's not talking about theories here. It's the art and experience of making films. If you want some kind of a book that gives you a very entertaining and hands-on a look into the hands-on approach to making movies, then Making Movies is the book for you by Sidney Lumet. It's a 95 book, but a great book by a great man, great director, absolutely one of the greatest ever. And then David Meme, who is also a theater director, theater practitioner and a playwright. Um, Famously, he has written his play called Glengarry Glen Ross. So that David Meme, he has also directed movies, and the title of the book is On Directing Film. You can take a look at it if you wish. And then again, a personal favorite of mine, In the Blink of an Eye. It is it is on it is a book by Walter Murch. Okay, so I don't know how many of you are familiar with Walter Murch, but he is a great uh, uh, film editor. Okay, and he has a phenomenal body of work. Some of the best uh, films, and you can look up his body of work. He worked in alliance with the great Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola, and he is the editor of the Godfather series, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, and also Apocalypse Now. And those of you who are familiar with Apocalypse Now, they would know that there is a history, there is a thing, there is an entire book and film about the making of Apocalypse Now. So it was a very difficult film to shoot for obvious reasons. You can look up the background of the movie. So he is the editor, and it is said that Francis Ford Coppola, in his passion and enthusiasm, he kept on shooting and reshooting, and at the end, it was left to Walter Murch to give you to give shape to that movie, which is an excellent book, absolutely a textbook, uh, kind of a text on how to make films and how to edit films. And then he also edited another great film called The Conversation, and later on The English Patient. Okay, so those are his. The English Patient, of course, it is based on a novel by Michael Ondaatje and directed by Anthony Mangela. So Walter Murch's book, In the Blink of an Eye. So these are just, because you have been asking about books and some of you want to get into research area. So I think these are the books that can give you sort of, entry point. Of course, there are a lot many, but these will give you an entry point. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. In the beginning of this today's session, and then I'll come to this question by Khushi. So Khushi, I will start with your third question first. How can I work there? I have no idea, because finding work, film industry generally is a very tight and close knit and tightly knit kind of a fraternity. You have, if you know somebody who can introduce you to the kind of filmmakers you want to make films with, so a good way is always to start as an assistant director. And how to get in. I am not an expert into how to get in film industry, but I can only think and suggest that theater is a good way to start. You have already mentioned FTII and all, so if you can do a course there and meet and network with the right kind of people. By right kind of people, I mean people who are in the know. So what is the process of getting through? Your first question, Khushi, a process of getting through and how helpful. They're all, the both of them have their own. So I shouldn't be commenting on which is better and which is more helpful. But I have been to FTII, and I found the atmosphere is very, very conducive to thinking and talking and learning about films. And this is important. So you can talk, you can read and teach yourself as much as possible, but you have to watch the greatest movies ever made, and you have to talk to people who know more about cinema, and you have to read about cinema. So FTII will give you the right kind of exposure. They also have wonderful people coming there as guest lecturers, guest lecturers, and people who have made short films, etc. Make short films. If you catch the attention of people or some film studio, then or film house, film production company, they should be able to identify you. So do it the right way. And then you're talking about theater. Even though theater is the best way, how can I be noticed in a city like Pune? Khushi, this is just because you are asking me this question that you want to be noticed. Why don't you put out a short film by you on the YouTube or on Insta? So I think that would be a good way of, and a good way to gain exposure if that's what you want. Now, Monica's question. Um, you are asking about my course. Mainly foreign filmmakers are on the list of auteur makers. Yeah, I will tell you why I did that. Satyajit Ray is classic, so Satyajit Ray has to be there, of course. However, your question was that why not foreign film makers? So the my response is that if, let's assume that I talk about Satyajit Ray, then the next question I am asked is that what about the rest of the directors from India? And if I talk about, let's say, Rishikesh Mukherjee, then somebody will ask me why not from XYZ language of cinema and regional region of cinema, and why only Rishikesh Mukherjee, who made films in Hindi. Okay, so this is a never-ending process. When I was developing the course, maybe the my students, because I teach at IIT, so perhaps my students may have asked me at that point in my life that let's talk about Martin Scorsese and let's talk about Kurosawa, and perhaps that must have been something that guided me to talk about or discuss those filmmakers. Uh, my personal favorites are other set of directors who I haven't talked about in the course. Okay, so let's assume that I like the cinema of Guru Dutt a lot. Okay, but again, it is about what my student wanted at that particular time. Can we look at Rishikesh Mukherjee? Yeah, I think there is someone called Jay Arjun Singh who has written a book called The Cinema of Rishikesh Mukherjee, and it is a very good study of Rishikesh Mukherjee as an author. So, of course, he is an author. He has a tremendous body of work. He worked with the same people. So, and he has left an imprint on a particular brand of cinema. See, Rishikesh Mukherjee, and also I would add Basu Chatterjee, who is unfortunately not given that kind of recognition now. Rishikesh Mukherjee is, of course, recognized, but somehow Basu Chatterjee, who passed away recently, I think a couple of months ago. And definitely, I think that his work demands more attention, more retrospectives, and more kind of, even literature and research. But I haven't found that too much. Perhaps, I am not aware of it, and there is some work existing on the cinema of Basu Chatterjee. But yes, coming back to Rishikesh Mukherjee, yes, definitely an author, a great author. Some of the best films of the 70s, and I can go on and on about Rishikesh Mukherjee's brand of cinema. Okay, and very holistic, and meaningful, middle of the road kind of cinema. He was the master in that brand of cinema. Nobody could touch him. Um, and same I can say about Basu Chatterjee also. The way Basu Chatterjee presented his characters, actors, absolutely wonderful. Both of them great, great, great authors. Ravish wants to know, should I do introduction to film studies also? It's up to you if you want to. I mean, because see, there will be an overlap. There will be an overlap, of course, but you are welcome to. So, Ravish, you are welcome to join. More than that, I won't say anything. Pranab, impact of Indian regional cinema globally and the most notable movies we should watch. We You want to watch what notable regional cinema from India? Is that what you're asking? Impact of Indian regional cinema? I think. See, I'll tell you what is happening. Once upon a time, Mr. Satyajit Ray's cinema traveled a lot. Okay, I traveled a lot, and he won a number of great awards, internationally recognized, lifetime achievement for Oscar also for lifetime achievement was and all that. So Satyajit Ray was at the center of Indian cinema, and also because he made films in Bengali, so we can say yes, he took Bengali cinema at a global international level. But if you're talking about nowadays, I think Marathi cinema. Uh, in Tamil, we have had this example of Nayakan, which has been rated as one of the best ever movies, all-time movies. So yes, and people do recognize. People do recognize. I'm not talking about Shah Rukh Khan, and I'm not talking about Hindi films. Your question is regional cinema. So yes, regional cinema is getting recognized. Impact. Well, I would say that they are being reviewed. I have. I read and I follow magazines like Sight and Sound. and I feel that regional cinema is given, a lot of attention nowadays. So I think those are the things which yeah, you have to do your research. Most notable recent films that we should watch. So even Netflix has those films, which is very good, which is very heartening to see that Netflix is also screening regional films. And also, at least, even if you are in some other part of the country, you can watch and you can get exposed. Thanks to these OTT platforms, you can get exposed to regional cinemas. Exam pattern, yes, MCQ, absolutely MCQ. Avijit Bera, yes. uh, Research on films focusing on thematic aspects, totally ignoring. Yes, it this is the way it happened. Best way is always to integrate thematic aspect with technical part, but most supervisors and scholars do not work that way. Technical part is often neglected. Okay, my approval and disapproval is not the question here. Very excellent theses are being written, which are absolutely theoretical and talking about themes. Take and with very little attention being paid to the technical part. I do not really want to comment on this. Difference between cinema verite and avant-garde cinema. It's a Wikipedia kind of question. Cinema verite is a French word. Avant-garde is also like French word. Avant-garde is basically experimental cinema. Cinema verite is capturing the reality of everyday life. So cinema verite is everyday life. Avant-garde is more experimental. It need not even have a structure. Avant-garde doesn't need not even have a structure. It can be very, very experimental in its technical aspect also. Um, Ma'am, can we interpret that? Yes, I think you can. You can. Jinuk is asking that there's a movie called 36 Chorangi Lane, and is it based on King Lear? Yes, it is. It is. But and also don't miss the fact that the character that Jennifer Kapoor plays in that movie. She's a Shakespearean teacher. She teaches Shakespeare at school. So perhaps that could be because how an old person, an aging person, is severely let down by young people. Her heart is broken because of the way they treat her and use her and dump her at the end. Yes. So yes, absolutely. Now, there is a question from Dr. Rajesh Gopal. Do you observe any resemblance of Sham Benegal's ideology of cinema in any other Hindi movies recently in the last 2 decades? Um, uh, See, if we talk about Sham Benegal's movie, like, I can think Manthan, which I like a lot. I like Manthan a lot. So if you have to ask me my all-time favorite movie by Mr. Shyam Benegal, then it has to be Manthan. And it's from your state, Dr. Rajesh. So that entire Amul Dairy movement and taking it to the rural area. So I like the movie because it combines excellent aesthetics and with great performances, and it's meaningful cinema. It talks about uh, the concept of social justice, equality, the rural urban divide. So yes, it is a great example. Any other Hindi movie recently in the last which can match up to Manthan? um you have to tell me. You just tell me if we can compare Mr. Shyam Benegal. Forget his ideology, but as a filmmaker itself, if you can compare Mr. Shyam Benegal to any other filmmaker at the moment, you let me know. Sorry, I'm not able to make any comparison, but that's the way I feel very strongly about Shyam Benegal's cinema. I think absolutely world class, one of the best. Vyomesh is asking negligence of Indian media behind preservation of film reels. Most of the old Indian films are available in very bad quality. Yeah, but people are blogging about it, right? Media may have other things to do or cover. Perhaps it's not that important an issue. I also feel, I also feel about this thing because you're raising a very important question. And then FTII and NFAI, they are doing some commendable work, commendable work in preserving our old films. But the problem is why media is it's not important. Why media is not focusing on it? Perhaps film lovers, cinephiles as we call them, they should come forward, and people from within the film industry. See, again, I'll go international. Forgive me for going back to foreign filmmakers. Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese has single-handedly um, taken a very strong approach towards restoration of old classics, especially in Technicolor, etc. And he has worked, and he has raised funds and generated money and awareness about this thing. So somebody from film industry itself should come out, and I'm sure they will come out in times to come. I think people have to do that. But good question. Sonalin is asking, can we work on how color is used in cinema as a dissertation? See, every work can be done is a potential research topic. In this course, I may have talked about how color is used. Definitely, it can be used, one of the technical aspects, and color is so important. The way colors are used in cinema, it is mind-boggling, and in all films. So you can take a bunch of films, group them together, and see how red is used here and red is used in another film. Yes, it is. It is. Yes, this is the guidance I can give you. Read more. There is plenty of research material on color. Can you suggest some directors whose films we should take for this research topic? Uh, Wong Kar-wai, Chinese film director. Okay, but if you want to work closer home, look at the cinema of Mani Ratnam. Can you suggest some books? You have to do your research. But plenty of books available on this area. Absolutely. Hello, Vikas. Thank you so much for your kind words. Uh, so, dear ma'am, आपका कोर्स अमेरिकन लिटरेचर अभी तक नहीं आया है. कब से स्टार्ट होगा? See, next semester is January onwards. I think we are doing English language for competitive exams, and we are doing introduction to film studies. So this is what we are doing. And American literature, hopefully, Vikas, we'll have it in July coming next to next semester. So I think that's the plan. And thank you. It's very nice. I think, Vikas, you seem to be very interested in the course. So you read more. And if Hindi is something आप हिंदी में ज़्यादा comfortable feel करते हैं, तो हो सकता है आप एक काम करें कि आप लिखें, ब्लॉग में हिंदी में ब्लॉग्स लिखें, और फिल्म समीक्षक बनने की अगर आप में मतलब इंटरेस्ट है आपको, तो आप उस एरिया में जाएं, क्योंकि आप हिंदी में ज्यादा, मुझे लगता है कि की तरफ ज्यादा आपका ध्यान है. तो आप किताबें तो मुझे लगता है आप इंग्लिश में पढ़ सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर आपको कंफर्ट लेवल आपका हिंदी में है, तो आप ब्लॉग लिखें, और जहाँ के आप हैं, जिस एरिया से आप आते हैं, आप किसी न्यूज़पेपर या पत्रिका में आप अपने विचार लिखें, और लोगों को भी बताएं कि सिनेमा में क्या क्या होता है. तो सिनेमा में सिर्फ इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट रेगुलर सॉन्ग एंड डांस एंड आइटम सॉन्ग्स. सो अगर आपने कोर्स किया और आपको अच्छा लगा, आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू यू, आपने बहुत अच्छी बातें करी कोर्स के बारे में. If you feel that the course can be helpful in appreciating cinema, so I think it's important कि आप ये बात दूसरों को बताएं कि सिनेमा में अम, मतलब सिर्फ सुंदर लोग ही नहीं होते, या सिर्फ एक्शन फिल्में नहीं होती जहाँ पे कारें उलट रही हैं और बहुत सारे लोग ग्रुप में डांस कर रहे हैं बहुत. तो सिर्फ ये इसी को फिल्म्स नहीं कहते. लेकिन आप वर्ल्ड सिनेमा, विश्व सिनेमा के बारे में भी बात करें, लिखें, तो ये बहुत अच्छा होगा. ये तो मुझे लगेगा कि मेरा एक स्टूडेंट है इतना प्रतिभाशाली और वो इन चीजों को आगे ले जा रहा है. So, if there is any other question, please ask me. Otherwise, it was great being with you, and it was really lovely talking to you. Come back for some other course if you are interested, guys, and we will meet again. So, Ajay is asking, this is the last question. What are your thoughts on French New Wave cinema being called avant-garde? See, I'll tell you what. They were avant-garde in the sense that they broke away from the tradition at that point. Today, you may feel that there is nothing great about French New Wave cinema. Okay, but uh, during that period, I mean, if you watch Jules and Jim by Truffaut, okay, and look at the way he has developed, I mean, he has delineated characters and relationships which were very different from the way characters and actors and relationships were portrayed on screen before that. Okay, you don't get any reason or justification behind the way they behave. So that was very experimental and it worked, because there were, film festivals, etc., did a lot to popularize this kind of cinema, which is important. Even today, if you look at the good and positive aspect of social media, what is social media doing? And I'm talking about the good things again. That we are introduced to a new kind of cinemas. People watch a film and then they talk about it. So amidst lot of films which may not be very relevant or significant, but there are some films that you can find out about that make a difference, that are important. So Vinod is asking, where is it? Where is it we can pursue film appreciation, film studies more seriously? Film appreciation, there is a course at FTII. There is a 1 month course, film appreciation. They will also give you a certificate. And there are lots of course universities, etc., where they are teaching these courses. I think internationally, you have already done this particular course with NPTEL. If you want to do an online course, I'm sure you will find Harvard or Stanford offering film studies courses or something related to cinema. So you can do your research there. And Tara is asking, is there any similarity in movements and new generation movies of today? Yeah, see, movement, what is movement? When I talk about French New Wave, okay? And when you talk about a British New Wave, okay? And when we talk about American New Wave, what were they doing? They were sort of subverting the existing brand of cinema which was there. Okay, so it was like cinema was getting old and jaded, same kind of themes, same kind of tired dialogue, same kinds of people doing the same kinds of routine. So it was breaking away and shaking you up. So that is a movement. But a new generation movies, of course, if you are able to shake up thematically, technically, then that is what we are talking about. Yeah. So next question is, Ajay is asking, art is an art being different from each other. Oh, this is philosophy. Do you believe in it, or do you think they are, yeah, they should be different from each other? Why not? What you see, I mean, artist on a screen portraying a character. If they can portray a character effectively on a screen, okay, that is art, and that should be enough. And don't expect the person to be the way they are on screen. Okay, there should be a separation. Vikas, important questions of previous. I see. What is the Vikas? The problem here is that once I submit my question paper to NPTEL, it is no longer my property. So if NPTEL is giving out a model or sample question paper for other courses, they will perhaps give for this course also. Okay, otherwise we can't on our own take the initiative that sending model sample question paper to our students on our own, against the wishes, against the protocol that NPTEL prescribes. So the best way is that approach NPTEL people directly and see if they can, because we submit our question papers, and then after that they are not our property anymore. So you please approach NPTEL. So lovely being with you, and thank you so much. I hope to see you soon for some other course, and we will be talking or we will be interacting soon again. So thank you very much.